Welcome to the Vistage podcast. This week, I am delighted to be joined by the wonderful Amelia and Hollie from Dazed and Engaged. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Thank you. Welcome.
We're so
Hello.
excited.
Yes, me too. Can't wait. So let's dig in. So you two are a bit of a power duo, really, and you've come together to form Dazed and Engaged. So let's kick off because you're not just Dazed and Engaged, you've got other elements to your business as well. So let's start with you, Hollie. Can you give us a bit about your story?
Been in the Middle East for 11 years. I'm getting married next year, so I'm planning a wedding to my list of things to do. It's so funny, over the past 2 years, my whole world has been about weddings. Because I launched a bridal store, which is based in Media City, Dubai. And I bought 7 exclusive designers to the Middle East. It was something I actually wanted to launch before COVID, but obviously, we weren't expecting the kind of massive lockdown and the domino effect it had on the economy. So I paused it and I launched last year, and it just boomed. It was just so surprising. I basically, in my first year, sold 100 dresses. I covered all my overheads. It was just incredible. So with that, in the first year, then obviously launched Dazed and Engaged with Amelia, which we'll dive in a little bit deep on. But it allowed me to start a second business with no investors, no loans, no debts. And it's just been an incredible ride.
That's amazing to go, just to have you, it's you and I Bridal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Media
Yeah.
City, appointment only. But to have, that bridal store do so well, so quickly, like 100 dresses in the first year is crazy. When you think as well, the price point of what it takes for somebody to get in and choose the perfect dress for their day.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it because it's something I've done solely by myself. Like, I even clean the store, sell the dresses, do the bookkeeping. Like, as any startup does, you have to do it from start to finish. And I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned, because look, I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've pivoted, I've learned from them, I've rectified it, and I've made it better. And I think the main thing I've learned is, within business, it's all about time. Like, if something's not working, I changed it right away. I figured it out. And when it's solely on you and it's like fight or flight, you make it work.
Yeah, amazing. So Amelia, can you tell us about your story, please?
Yeah, of course. So I was actually born and raised in Abu Dhabi, lived there till I was about 13, 14, and then moved to the UK. My mum's English, my dad's Canadian, so my mum won on the where do we move from the Middle East to fight. And spent some time in the UK, college, university, lived in the UK for a while. Straight out of uni, went straight into advertising. So I've been working in advertising agencies for the last sort of 15 years. Between agencies and brand. Moved back to the Middle East with my now husband, then boyfriend. We have 2 beautiful children, and we moved back about 11 years ago, similar to Hollie. And I worked in various different ad agencies, branding agencies, and then most recently in-house, which was my previous corporate role. And I left there in May 2023 with the intention of taking a small break and just spending some time with the kids. I had never taken any type of career break, and I'd found myself with some career successes and wanted to owe it to myself. And then very, very quickly found myself in quite high demand for support against consultancy, more specifically in branding, which is where kind of a lot of my roots really lived. And I set up a consultancy called fyp DXB. So I've been working through that for the last just shy of a year, building a really amazing network of freelance support as well. So, especially during COVID, I really found a lot of amazing talent that I knew and had worked with previously, had either been laid off from their jobs, or marketing's one of the first places to get cut, and creative, unfortunately. And a lot of them found a lot of success through it as well. And I've built some really amazing relationships and partnerships there as well. So a lot of them work exclusively with me. So really focused on building the consultancy side of it out, whereas I come in as like the kind of the top line strategic 360, and then I've got my resources around me that can support in terms of final execution. So yeah, it's really amazing. And Holly and yeah, thank you. Holly and I had previously worked together in our previous roles. Actually, that's how we met. And then we were worked on the same team for 6 years, so we were super close. Holly was like exceptionally well trusted by me. And we got on really well as friends as well. So yeah, it was in June, wasn't it, of 23. We just met for a casual breakfast, and a business idea was very quickly formed.
Yeah.
Hence, Dazed Engaged was then born.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I can't like imagine having 2 businesses and kids as well. Like, honestly, I think until I had Paloma, I had no idea what it was like. And having had like a long corporate career before, and new parents coming back to work, I just had no appreciation for like what actually happens at home, and then come to the office and like have this whole other life. It's just insane.
It's my first job. That's what I say, is like, I've got to go back to job number 1, looking after the kids, then you've got to make everything else work around it.
Yeah, I always think as soon as I wake up, I'm like, what time did the job start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you open your eyes.
Yeah. Which job do I do first?
It was so great. I was actually reading that women with young children are actually the best employees to hire, because they have to get their work done. They have to get home. They don't faff around like talking to everyone or like procrastinate. They just literally on a mission, and they're in and they're out because their priority are their kids, but they get the job done.
Yeah, 100%. I think I've actually learned to work in like 30-minute sprints. I'm like, okay, like what's this 30 minutes going to look like for me? And like, bam, bam, bam. Like, and no way if I was in the office environment again, kind of like having like 5 or 6 coffees a day, that just wouldn't happen now.
It wouldn't.
Yeah.
It wouldn't.
No.
I mean, I think it was a bit of a nice escape going to the office when like the kids are at school, I'm in the office, but then it kind of like the time starts ticking down. You're like, right, next job.
Yeah, exactly. So I love your kind of like free spirit, go-getter, like energy. Is this something that comes naturally to you, or like how do you fuel it?
I would say like myself and Amelia are both very driven people. But it's a sense of fear. Like we're not scared, if that makes sense. I think if you remove fear from anything, you can complete it, you can do anything you want. And that's what I learned launching my first business. Is I remember like you don't actually commit to anything unless you sign a contract or you put money down. Other than it's just an idea. Like when you actually start putting money into it and you're building it, and it's like, this is really happening. That's when it gets the emotions come in and be like, it's controlling your ego as well. You get worried and you have that fear of being like, what if I fail? But in my head, I was like, well, at least I tried. At least I tried, and we'll figure it out and we'll make it work.
Yeah. It's always good to have that like perspective, I think, like if something fails, like it could be worse. For me, it's like, well, I wanted to invest $20,000 because I had it. Okay, so I've lost that now. It could be worse. I mean, it's not great, but like
no, it's a bitter pill to swallow. No one likes losing money, and that's the risk of business. But I think myself and Amelia, we both have and you can tell by the growth of Dazed Engaged already. We launched April, like we know we need to spend to make. And that is something we completely aligned on with our partnership. and starting Dazed and Engaged, it is very much when you go into business with someone, we laugh, we say we're basically married. We've got a shared bank account.
You do look nice together, actually. On
We're a good couple.
And you have those conversations where you have in a relationship, in a marriage, where it's not easy. We've had difficult conversations and decisions that we've had to make. And I think going into it, we had like an open discussion. We laid our cards on the table and was like, this is, especially because we used to work with each other, we know how each other work, but we had to agree on that kind of drive and how we see this business going. Because if I had a mindset of like, okay, Amelia, we need to spend this on PR, we need to spend that, and then she didn't, it just naturally, it would not work.
Yeah, nice. And what about you, Amelia?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think as well, and I've actually learned so much more, and I feel like I've grown so much more in myself, let alone in, the idea of running a business and learning all the ins and outs of that type of thing. And, going from literally nothing to start up, it's just saying yes to everything is something that Holly and I really spoke about a lot at the beginning. It was like, just say yes. Like, what's exactly what you were saying now? What's the worst case scenario? Like, realistically, how bad can this be? And you never know who you're going to meet. You never know how it's going to go. And I think it's all about taking that risk. And, there's never a bad idea. And I think as well with our partnership, like I said, we've known each other for such a long time. We've worked so closely together, so we know each other's strengths. But we've sat and we've had ridiculous conversations about silly things. And you go, oh, actually, I like that. How can we make this work in a different way? And I think with the nature of Dazed and Engaged being so fun and exciting and celebratory and being in that kind of female empowerment movement, and it's just really exciting for us. But like, there's no real bad ideas, and there's no real opportunity for us to have to say no to anything. I mean, yes, you get down to the nitty gritty of maybe financial, but et cetera, but at the same time, it's like, we have a bit of an open field here, and it's like, how do we want to play it, and let's have fun with it? Because if you're not enjoying yourself, then what's the point?
Yeah, and I love that. And your website just looks so playful and fun and edgy and cool. Like, it's not too feminine, it's quite like, it has like quite a masculine but strong female like energy to it.
Very editorial.
Yeah, editorial. That's the word I'm looking for. So you've touched on this already. In terms of partnerships, so obviously they can be like really challenging, and if they're not with the right person, then it can be even harder. But how do you manage that between you?
I think from my side, knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. You just need to come to the terms that you are not good at everything, and that's okay. This is where like our egos come in, and you want to be, and it's amazing, like, put yourself out there, learn a new skill. Like, there's things Amelia's taught me, I've taught Amelia.
For sure.
But vice versa. This is what makes us, I call us the powerhouse. You need to have that kind of confidence and say that about yourself, because, we divide and conquer a lot.
Yeah.
And there's no point us working on the same thing. Obviously, we're aligned and we're on the same mission. But for the scale of our business alone, by running by two people, we have a warehouse as well. We have a huge logistics side behind it. We have the branding piece. We're pushing it on social media. Every pockets of a business that you can think of top line, we oversee and we do ourselves. So divide and conquer, and knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses. And it's okay to literally, we say, okay, Amelia, you do this. We have a notes, we have a tracker. We're like, Amelia, you do this, you'll kill this, you'll be amazing at this. Holly, I do this. And that's how we've kind of got in the rhythm of working.
Yeah.
And also, like, we had a really great meeting last week. We've been open 2.5 months now, and we looked at our data, we looked at our sales, we looked at like what's learning, we listened to what our customers are saying, and we set ourselves KPIs. And that's okay to do that, and you should do that within yourself. Even if you are just solo, a one-man band, you have a consultancy business, or you're just, whatever you do, even if you manage 15 people, you have to have KPIs and set those goals. And we've set ourselves goals where we want to see the business, we need to up our, you know, our basket margin by X amount, we want to do X, Y, and Z, and how do we get there? And that, having those conversations, everything else, all the nitty gritty bits just fall into place.
Yeah, I
Nice.
completely agree. I think, especially because we worked together for such a long time on the same team, literally day in, day out. And, you know, even like when I was on maternity leave, for example, it was like, right, Holly, run with it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be around. And, you know, you did such a fantastic job, you know, taking the reins and everything. And I think that, like exactly as you said, our skill sets, we're really clear. So like when something comes in, like say, for example, we need to do a certain job or there's something that needs to have action, we know already now, it's like, right, Amelia, that's a you job, that's a Holly job. Like and we'll always make sure that we oversee each other's kind of, you know, if it's something collaborative, that we obviously want to make sure the other one sees what we're up to, or what we're writing. If it's like an article or something like that, you know, blog posts, social media, etc. Like we're really close with everything, but it's very much, and we know each other's skill sets exceptionally well, and I know where Holly's going to have input, and it's vice versa.
Yeah, amazing. Trust is so important, isn't it? It sounds like
Sure.
you guys clearly have that in bundles. And from a KPI perspective, I always find if you have that, it makes those more challenging conversations so much easier, because
Yeah.
it's like, this is what we said we were going to do and we're falling short, and this is what we're
Yeah.
going to do about it, rather than like quite kind of generic conversations make it so much harder. And it feels more personal when it's like that as well, rather than this
Yeah.
is tough.
And I think as well, like you need to remember one thing I've learned, people digest information in so many different ways. I originally, when I first launched my first business, I had an amazing marketing lady who, she was so creative, but she couldn't digest information so we were having these meetings and we were coming up with these ideas and I'm like, why is it not done? Like what, you know, like I was getting like a little bit frustrated, and then I was like, but it was the way I was communicating the information, as in like she digests, like she's visual, so she needed to see everything written down. So like we have so many meetings in a day and so much information get lost. But if you set those key goals, which we've got in black and white, it's just like it just locks it in. And I think by not having control as well, like you need to, there's being a perfectionist, but then there's just being a control freak. And when you are a control freak, that's when you just burn out, and you are just, you're gonna hold yourself and your other business partner back.
Yeah. And from a values perspective, I know that you're both very aligned on this, and there's things, you know, around like fast fashion and stuff that I feel very much against as well. Can you talk about your shared values?
Yeah, for sure. I think when we first came together, the number one thing that we discussed was like, what is the problem that we're going to be solving if we're going to be talking about setting up a business? We don't want to be going into a business where we feel like we're just going to be another person doing the same thing that someone else is doing, and are we going to be doing it justice? You know, we really did our research, and we really have had this alignment from day one, you know, and it wasn't necessarily that we went in and we said, we want to launch a Hindu accessories company. That's not how it kind of came about. It wasn't like, oh, I've got this idea, Holly, let's do it. And, you know, we really looked at kind of like the market, where could we go, look left field, we might not necessarily know too much about it, but where is the gap and what problem could we be solving? And we kind of both very quickly aligned on this idea of Dazed and Engaged. But one of the biggest things behind it was, you know, we're here for a short time, we're here for a good time, not a long time, I should say. And
I was thinking, like, how does that go again? Like, short time, not a good time.
We're here for a good time, not a long time. But you know, we love the idea of the celebration, and like we were talking about, even just with Holly's, you know, one of the reasons why she sort of created You and I Bridal was like being part of that moment and that celebration. It was like, actually, that makes a lot of sense, and you can transfer that into the Hindu. You know, we're all about that kind of sisterhood. Bringing the girls together, like, yeah, it's amazing that you're in a position to be getting married and, you know, having that amazing moment with the love of your life, but, you know, the bridesmaids came first, you know? They were there, they've been through it all with you, so why not celebrate that moment and really hone in on that? And I think with regards to the business itself, we're very much we've always been kind of key focus on women in business, really supporting other women in business, women empowerment, and owning that kind of moment and that celebration and living your best life, and just, you know, throwing all caution to the wind and just being like, you know, what does this look like and how could it grow? And I think from our own business values, but also personal values, you know, bringing that back into, you know, our partnership is like, you know, Hollie has such an amazing respect for the fact that I've got children. Hollie doesn't have children yet. But, you know, having so much respect for that side of my life, and, you know, knowing when it's bedtime, knowing when it's playtime, you know, if my daughter runs in the middle of a call, or if like we're packing boxes literally this morning and it's like, you know, my daughter's downstairs going, I want to play with your party stuff. You know, it's a really amazing kind of balance there, and in terms of like understanding where we want to go with the business and how far we want to push it as well, and what time and energy we have to invest in it, I think is also really important.
Yeah, and we're proud that we are based in the UAE.
Yeah.
We are a startup, we're a small business. And look, we're going to be very honest, myself and Amelia, we've done competitive analysis when we looked into this business. Like we're numbers girls as well. We're a bit business level headed. Like there is a financial side to business where we needed to be smart. And we looked at all these big chain retailers like your Amazon, you know, your Temu, all these party suppliers websites. And we were like, do you know what? We're not going to be intimidated. We're not going to be scared. We're going to take them on. And we are, you know, slightly higher in price, but we are ethically sourced. Like all our products are shipped out from Dubai. Like, you know, you can get delivery in 4 hours, you know, it's convenient, and we're not scared to actually take on that challenge. And that's what makes our business so high risk. But as I said before, it's going to be fight or flight. And so far it's going so well, touch wood.
Oh, it's awesome. And when you look at your products as well, you look at your site, although, you know, it's geared up for hen dos, this, like, you'd use the stuff again, you know, it's not like disposable and throw away. It's all classy and stuff that you can reuse. It's amazing. And where do you see yourselves in the next 5 years? I know 5 years always feels like quite far out, but what do you see?
We're going to blink and it's going to come.
That's
true.
Exactly. This year has gone so quick already. I think one of the things that we've always aligned on is like we want to be the go-to destination for hen dos. And it's not necessarily from a planning perspective, but we really wanted to bring an air of convenience, but we also wanted to bring an air of, you know, being proud to wear our products, being proud to be a part of the Dazed Engaged community, you know, which we've, you know, built such a amazing community in such a short space of time as well. And, you know, we've got some amazing brides, amazing support, and, you know, even just, you know, collaborators that have been coming forwards and wanting to work with us. And it's super exciting. And we want to be that one-stop shop. And it's not just going to be regional. It's not just going to be Dubai-based. We want this to be global. And we want to be that one-stop shop offering where you can come to us for anything that you need from a hen do perspective. And it's not just like, you know, and all due respect to those who have these different blogs, but it's like we want to be the execution. So it's like we're giving you this product or this service to be able to make your hen do the best it can be, support you with your planning, support you with how you're going to look, creating that entire 360 of your hen do through our community, our branding, you know, our values, but then also through the products and the services that we offer.
Yeah, I have like little minds, like little things I want to envision, and I always have this where I want to be like sitting at an airport or like sitting at a beach club, and there's girls like wearing our products, and they're just like, it's people's, like, changing people's mindsets is so powerful, and that's what we're challenging, like, to do, like, be like, we can give you everything you need on our site. It's convenient. We've laid it all out. We've built out a hen party directory. We're advisors. We want to be the leaders on trends. And I think in 5 years' time, I want people to be like, to know just that instant gut of like, where do they go to get hen parties, accessories, Dazed Engaged?
Yeah.
You know, like just having that instant like reaction.
I don't think it'll be long before, you know, when the beach clubs open again in Dubai, or like you can bear the heat. I don't think it'll be long before you see people in your stuff. I wonder, Like you'll be sat there, shall I go over? Or it's like, "It's fine."
100%.
Well, we
Yeah, I
still
would.
get a pinch me moment. Like we get tagged a lot with people, you know, because exactly like no one's gonna tag like our like big chains where it's super cheap. Like no one tags that. They don't want to shout out about that. But because we're quite a lifestyle brand, you know, as we are, people tag us and we see people on their hen parties, and
Yeah.
we get excited to see it. It's coming to life.
Yeah, I'd have loved you guys to be around when I had my hen do, especially with the little black book and the directory you're talking about. It's so helpful.
Yeah.
All the partnerships.
It's such a nice way. I think we've been really listening to our community and really hearing what they're saying. Like, where do we go? Have you got any advice? Like, you know, what type of things could we do? Like, do you have an itinerary? And it's like, well, actually, how can we actually take these questions from these different consumers and our community and provide them with something? And, you know, we're all about the experience. Everything that we want to be able to do and achieve is all about, you know, having that moment, having that amazing experience with your friends and your family. And it's a life moment. Like, I remember my hen do. You're definitely going to remember yours, which we're planning right now.
I was going to ask actually my final question, so I'll save it. Carry on.
And it's such a big life moment, and like you remember what you wore, you remember how, like, where you went, and you know, with the little black book, we really wanted to provide some type of added value or experience to your day or weekend, week, however long you want it to be. And that's exactly what we've done. So like throughout the little black book, you know, and it is going to be expanding throughout the year as well, and onwards. But you know, the bride can go free, but then your entire group gets an upgraded package to, you know, champagne package. You get a sparkler show, and you get priority seating, and you get treated with that VIP treatment, which is what you want to really have on that moment. And like one of the things that we found as well is like sometimes there is a little bit of a taboo maybe with some kind of venues when you call them up and you're like, oh, we're doing a hen do. They're like, oh, wow, okay. Here you come.
No.
And, you know, we were like, no, that's the whole point, is to create this really amazing atmosphere and this experience. And we've had some amazing partnerships with the venues that we've been working with so far, like sprinkled throughout the little black book. And, you know, they've really kind of come to the table and been like, how can we add value to this? And how can we make this the most amazing day? And they really believe in the concept and the vision that we've got with the brand.
Yeah. And it's something very, like, we're extremely proud of, because from a business standpoint, as Amelia said, we listen to our customers, and we never launched Dazed Engaged to do another avenue of a hen party directory. We honestly, when we were building out our business plan, it never was part of that. And it just shows, when you listen to your customers and you see something and have an opportunity, we were like, we've just got to do it.
Yeah.
And we've invested financially a lot in building this technology, this hen party directory. And it was a huge risk for us, but within 1.5 months, we got 20 venues signed up. We created bespoke experiences with them. But the reason why we wanted to do it as well is, from a business standpoint, is we wanted that partnership and that storytelling and that marketing collateral, because we were noticing that so many people were tagging in us. This was like free publicity for us, if that makes sense. And it was a place where people will go to us. And when we launched on our first day, we were looking at the stats. Our website was up by 420%.
Well, no, by the end of the day, it was nearly, I think, 800%.
Yeah.
The website visits just in day one of launching.
Wow. That's
It's
amazing.
incredible, yeah.
Which is absolutely insane. You think about how much money you would have to plummet into SEO and so much content to get that ranking. So it's doing amazingly, and we have it's, you know, the world's our oyster with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well done, girls. So talking about the challenging side, and you can talk about your experience in your other businesses as well. What would you say have been your biggest challenges as CEOs and founders?
I would say sales, honestly speaking. I think there's just to the point, you need to remember, everyone loves to buy, but no one loves to be sold. That is it. it's buying something is a drug. Like, you know, I go shopping, and if I go on a shopping spree, you feel amazing. But when someone's trying to sell it to you, it's no one, you know, when you're walking in a store and someone comes up to you and be like, how can I help? You immediately be like, get away from me. No, I don't want help. I need help, but I don't want you to help me. And that is literally like how we are as humans. So I think the most challenging thing is like converting those sales and understanding that pathway, because I have a shop. So I'm face to face. I can read someone's body language. I can listen, and I can understand what they want, and I can ask the questions I need to help me close that sale. Okay. That's challenging as a whole. That's a different type of sale. But then you've got e-commerce sale, which is a completely different beast. And everyone is moving to e-commerce, especially since COVID. And look at like when you're literally on social media alone, I'm pretty sure if we were sit here for 5 minutes and scroll, we'll have an average 3 to 4 ads pop up on our feed, someone trying to sell our stuff. So for us, we were all about the customer journey. What do our customers want? We are Middle Eastern based, people like convenience. That was our main thing, and we'll never, ever lose that. And that's why we pay a premium rent. We have our stock literally in the heart of Dubai, so we can get it to you same day delivery. And what do people want? They want quality. Pen parties are like, for us, it's like they're sometimes same on par as a wedding. Like, people go to Mykonos now, they fly to Vegas, they go everywhere.
100%.
They're expensive. So you want that luxury feel of product. So when we were building out the site, we were like, how do we show that luxury feel? And the way we photographed it and the way we campaigned it and our storytelling, like, we've given all our products names. So it's not a bridal straw hat, it's the Olivia hat, because you relate to that. It's a personal, it's luxury. So a lot of our branding is based around that kind of sales standpoint and to justify why you would buy from us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And you've got a handbag after you, haven't you? Is it Clutch?
Yeah, Hollie Clutch.
We both do, yeah. Holly and the Amelia.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I completely agree with Holly. I think the branding aspect of it, and making sure that the brand, the look and feel, the communication, the tone of voice, everything within that element, you know, is something I do that within my consultancy as well. It's like, you know, when you're building someone's brand, it's so unbelievably personal, but you obviously need to be taking into consideration the market, the growth of the business, where you want to go, and staying true to that kind of vision and mission and really understanding it. It's like, you know, from a branding point of view, it's not just a logo. It's creating an entire brand identity and making sure that that's going to have longevity, and you're going to stand true to that based off your own kind of values within the business as well. And it's a challenge, and it's, you know, it's something that, you know, we've had different ideas, and we're like, well, how does that fit within our brand? Does that make sense within the brand? How do we want to kind of communicate that? And most of the ideas we've come up with and different kind of conversations we've had generally fall within that, but there have been a few that we've had to park, and or we look at it and we pivot and we say, how can we actually make this fit within the brand? Love the idea, love the concept, but it doesn't quite work right now. And it's, you know, that kind of brand building piece, that took a really, really long time for us. And that I wouldn't say it was challenging, it was actually really exciting, and we loved working on it, but, you know, it took us a while to land with the existing kind of brand ethos and the positioning as to where we are in the market, because we were really specific and particular, but bringing that to life has been quite challenging. And then naturally, again, rolling into that, like from this converting sales and really honing in on the emotive, which is where we kind of really focus our kind of key KPIs as well. It's like making sure that everything we do leads all the way back to, you know, the celebratory element, and, you know, having that moment and like creating those life moments. It's not just a hat, it's not just a bow, it's about the aesthetic that you had on that day, and it's something that you could like give to your kids. Like, my daughter's obsessed with everything that we've got, mainly because it's all glittery and pretty. Well, not all of it.
But I think from your what you're saying as well is from justifying it is pricing as well was a huge challenge for
100%.
us. That we spent
Really long
hours
time, yeah.
and hours. We had an Excel sheet which literally could crack the Morse code. I'm not joking. It was an Excel sheet of Excel sheet, you know.
Yeah.
It was looking, you know, you've got your pillars of like, you ask yourself, one, how much would I pay for that? Removing emotion, right? Because no one sees you working till 3 o'clock in the morning. No one sees you paying your invoices, paying your staff, paying your suppliers. No one understands sometimes what goes into a price of a business. So when you remove emotion from it, we're like, well, how much would we pay for that? Does that make sense? And then we're looking at competitors and how much we need to charge to make a profit. And it was so challenging because, as we said, we don't want to win. We can't be too cheap because we sourced ethically luxury, like high quality party supplies, which in this region, normally people just think it's cheap, but it's not. And we didn't want to do that. And we didn't want to lower our values on that. So I think that as well has been, and I think that is that's been a challenge across all my businesses, of like what people will spend versus what's not.
Yeah.
And sometimes we want everyone to be our customers, but sometimes you're going to get the people who won't want to spend that. And that's okay. You know, you just need to remember your worth and you need to remember your mission and stick with that.
Exactly.
Thank you. So both of you are clearly role models, but I'd love to hear who your role models are in this space.
Oh, do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, I don't know if cliche is the right word, but for me, 100%, it has to be my dad. So my dad, you know, he's always been a grafter. He's always worked hard, but he's always lived and, you know, drilled in to me, I should say, and my sister, the ethos of like, don't confuse effort with result. You know, you have to, just because you've worked really hard on something doesn't mean you've worked smart on it. You know, have you achieved the result that you were looking for? Have you been able to get to that kind of stage? And I think the way that my dad has approached business and businesses that he's owned and, you know, flipped and worked on and failed on, but also the way that he's lived his life, I think that the way that my kind of outlook on what success looks like to me has changed so much over the years. I think originally, you know, when you're kind of fresh out of uni, you're like, I'm going to go get this big corporate job and I'm going to go make a ton of money and drive this fancy car. And I think, you know, having kids and like, as I get a little bit older and as I've got a little bit older, I should say, my value of success, or what I value success is more about, you know, having that quality time, working on a business and businesses that I really love and I enjoy and they bring me joy. And it makes me feel fulfilled at the end of the day when I've achieved X amount of key points, which I think, you know, even 5-6 years ago, I probably would have been like, oh, I have not done enough, or whatever that kind of narrative might have been for myself. And I find him really inspiring that he's traveled the world, he's really lived his life, and everything from him was like key focus on kids, but also working hard and enjoying what he's been doing. And I think that for me, it's also instilling this belief, and I think that I try my best to do that with my kids, but also instilling this belief of like really living each day to its best. And like living in the present is a really hard thing to do, especially with business and like having so many kind of forecast and future ventures and things that you want to be able to be doing, but you have to also be living in the present and really enjoying your time at that time, because otherwise, for me, I don't value that as a happy life.
I love that one. It's nice to hear you say your dad. I always panic in this situation. I'm like, Martin Luther King. It's like
There's so many.
There are
It's
so many.
So hard.
I'm really inspired by a lot of people. I think there's a ton of different people that I really look to for aspiration, but like in terms of role model, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And you, Holly?
I would say right now, off the top of my head, Stephen Bartlett. I listen to his podcasts a lot, but I've done a lot of research into kind of him as a background. And what I actually like about him is and he admits it. He has, I think I found out that he has like 26 people alone hired to work on his own personal branding, and that he is like a master of like his own brand, and he always changes. He changes things up. Like he's not, I admire anyone who doesn't have fear, if that makes sense.
He's not scared to fail, is he?
He's not scared to fail.
Cool.
He's not scared to try anything new. Like he constantly has one person, don't know if this is rumor, but having someone like change his reels, his thumbnails on his social media. So it's like he learns and he listens to what people want. And I think his success story has been amazing, and what he's turned his business into, and he's taken that wealth and that knowledge and he's built his own personal brand. And I think that is really the future of where we see a lot of people going, is people want to buy from you, and he's just mastered that.
Yeah, I love the fact as well he has like people from all walks of life on his podcast, and he's able to like hold the space and have conversations with people where he probably knows nothing about it either, you know, and because it's completely random, but he's able to just listen and ask like the poignant questions.
Yeah, I think to that point as well, it's like it's not just necessarily on his podcast, but I think he's had sorry, I'm like jumping in on your I
love it.
Well, actually, yeah, I agree. But he's got his fingers in so many pies, like so many different entities like within his business. I remember listening to something recently, like how, you know, there's this like 5 a.m. club and all the rest of it, and I just assumed he'd probably be a part of that, you know, getting up at 4 a.m. and doing all these different things. It's like, no, we go to the gym at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then he DJs afterwards for a bit of fun. And I'm like, what do you do until? How do you sleep? Like, how do you make this work? You know, I think he's really cool actually. Good shout, Hollie.
Yeah, people that are able to build habits like that are amazing. You know, I was reflecting on this yesterday actually in a group, and I was like, I really wish I was one of those people. I am in the 5 a.m. club, but it's because like it's the only time to go to the gym, and then the work doesn't start till like, excuse me, until like the 10 a.m. club.
I'm in the 5 a.m. club because of my kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Not because I want to be.
Yeah. We actually started the 5 a.m. club between me and my husband for a while, and then Paloma just started waking up at 5:30, and I was like, the 5 a.m. club isn't the same with her in it. She's not supposed to be here.
She got a FOMO. She wanted to join in.
Yeah, so then it just stopped. Okay, so one of the last questions, do you have any advice for your 18-year-old self, Amelia?
Oof. Yes, lots. The first piece of advice is surround yourself with like-minded people who are going to lift you up and build you up. I think that throughout my many years, I'm super old, but throughout my many years, I've had a lot of different friendships and a lot of different groups where I've been a part of, and not necessarily bad people, but just not necessarily aligned with my vision and where I saw my life going, or my morals or things like that. And I think there's been such a shift and a change, I think, as I've got a little bit older, and especially in the last, I'd say 2 to 3 years in particular, with regards to who I spend my most quality time with, and being in a position of being around like-minded people, just it completely can change your outlook on how you want to move forwards in life. You know, I do believe it, like if you're surrounded by people who just want to go out partying all the time, then you'll probably end up doing that. If you're surrounded by people who are really hunkered down on business and, you know, want to achieve something slightly different, you know, you follow from your peers and you learn from your peers as well.
Help
each other out. And I think as well, don't be scared to take the risk. I think that changing the expression of what if it fails into what if it succeeds, I think is something that was also a bit of a mind shift for me. It was like, you know, you have that kind of doubt and that narrative that kind of comes in, especially from a business and building 2 businesses. It's like, well, what if it doesn't work? And what if this investment doesn't pay off? And, you know, what if the stock doesn't arrive? It's like, okay, what if it does? And what if it doesn't, but it's actually okay? You know, I think that there's also a lot of opportunity to take risk and really, you know, own it and dive deep into it and learn from it and see where it can take you in life.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one. Let's go on. Hindsight. If my mum always says, if we all had hindsight, we'll be millionaires. I think I have two things. Well, the other one's very similar to Amelia, quality over quantity. But the one thing I would say is I look back and I sometimes wish I used my time wisely. I look at these people, me and my husband watching TV, and it was a real estate company, and they built this real estate company on social media in the pandemic, and I was like, genius. She's so
Why
simple.
didn't I do that?
Why didn't I think that? So I think using time wisely, and that goes back to the people you have around you, finding time for yourself. And as cliche as it sounds, I wish I listened to my parents a little bit more, save for that rainy day. But I look back at the money, like, I'm good with my finances, but you look back at it and be like, I actually had a life lesson. Wanted to buy like my first property, and I'd done it, and I was proud, done it by myself, but you always are short of that little amount of what you want and what you're trying to get to, and you're like, oh, if I just saved that little bit more, I would have got it. And that was just something I learned, and it's something which I wish I kind of done, hindsight looking back.
Oh, my dad being a banker, I was never allowed to do that. Although I was an auditor, I used to get audited on a yearly basis.
Oh,
It was
wow.
very painful, yeah.
It's good.
Though, it was good.
It's
Still, it's not
so
good now.
And my parents were the same. They were always like, save for a rainy day. And I did. Don't get me wrong, I did. But then, you always kind of go off the beaten track when you're younger, right?
Yeah, don't. I'm a ex-banker, and I'm the worst with money. I never check anything. Like, I'd rather just not know. I don't pay
Yeah.
bills on time. I'm like absolutely terrible. So it was never meant to be.
Yeah.
One final question, and maybe this is more for you, Amelia, than Holly, but so can we have a sneak on what the hen do is going to be like for Holly next year?
Oh.
You're in the hot seat.
Oh no, I'm really scared. What could I say? I mean, there's going to be a lot of Dazed Engaged products, as you can imagine. I'm like, she's completely we're under embargo, I should say.
Yeah.
It may or may not be in Dubai.
There's a group chat and I'm not in it.
Yeah, she's not in it, and there is a lot of bold text being like, do not tell Holly.
Yeah, definitely don't release it on the podcast.
Yeah, so I'm like, I can't release too much, but
That's
no, it's gonna be amazing. I am very much looking forward to it.
Oh, good. Well, have the best time.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. I wish you all the luck in the world with Dazed and Engaged. You're smashing it already, and I'm sure you'll continue to. So
Thank you. Thank you
for
so
having us.
much.
You're welcome.